And hold it.
Yeah.
You can't get a flag on that big TV screen?
Just hold it, you can just hold it up.
That's all right, just hold it.
Okay.
Or I'll hold it.
We're gonna call this meeting to order for the Planning Commission, December 18th at 6 o'clock. Can we go ahead and have roll call?
Commissioner Engelke,
Here.
Commissioner Egner,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I hope everyone has had a chance to look at their packet that they received and have had a chance to look over the minutes. And if everybody is okay, we can go ahead and have a motion, or we can have discussion.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from November the 27th, 2023.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Egner,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirkley,
Yes.
Commissioner Ware, no, he's not here, Commissioner Mercer,
Yes.
Commissioner Vidal, Commissioner McGann, yes, and Commissioner Stokes.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item 4 is old business. There is no old business. So that will lead us on to item 5, new business. Our first case tonight is case number 2023-28. It's a variance. It's a request for a rear yard setback variance for a proposed lot division from the required 25 feet down to 8.39 feet, thus a 16.61 feet variance request. And a variance to allow an accessory structure within the portions of the front and side yard, also because of the desired lot division, both by Brandon Hamberlin, a landowner and applicant, located at 5981 Carolyn Drive within the Hoyt, Austin Lake, Section A, First Revision Subdivision, Lot 40, consisting of 0.45 acres plus or minus. I will turn this over to our staff.
Alright, the first slide, it's just showing the current zoning. The lot that we're looking at is zoned R9, and then to the north, it's a bunch of houses also. The whole neighborhood is R9, and then to the south and to the west, it's all AR. Next slide, please. And so, a bit more zoomed in aerial detail shows that basically, on this one lot right here, you've got two structures, and they basically act as two houses right now. This was way out in the county a long time ago, and it just got built that way, and the city absorbed it into its own boundaries, and now we're stuck with two houses on one lot. And so the official driveway is here on Carolyn Drive, and so officially it's a house on Carolyn Drive. But you've also got this driveway here with the frontage to this structure on Highway 301. And so what the applicant is asking today is to, and this will be on the next slides, but what the applicant is asking is to split this lot and a line right about here going that way. That way there can be one lot and for one house and one lot for one house. So just one house per lot, which is how it's supposed to be. And by doing that, that would add, as opposed to this being one structure facing this way, it would create one frontage this way and one frontage this way, which would mean that this would be an official driveway, and then this would have to get its own address. Because right now the whole thing has one address, and so the applicant is wishing to have one address per house. So that way it would make it simpler for mailing situations and just overall living situations, and especially for when this property has to get sold. It's going to be a nightmare if this goes up for sale and it's not in compliance with pretty much anything the city has as far as the lots goes. And so just as a side effect of all that, just by a technicality, another part of a variance, in addition to the setbacks that this creates, is technically this shed here, it's going to go from being behind the house to now being in the front yard and side yard, whereas the sheds should always be behind the front of the house. So this case just automatically creates two issues as far as variances go. And the first variance is going to be this house is going to be too close. This house is going to be too close to the side yard line, and it'll be on the next slides, because the setbacks have to be exactly the same on both sides, and they're putting it right in the middle. But only the planning commission can give they can only grant a variance to the applicant, and this is why it came to y'all tonight. But then there's some other issues that have to be talked about as another side effect of this, and that's also water lines and sewer lines, and the fact that each house has to have its own rather than being connected. So you can go to the next slide. And so here's where the line is going to be. The green line is what's proposed, and the red line is what's currently existing, and then the yellow is the shed. And so the line in the middle, that green line, it's going to be exactly equidistant between both houses. It's going to be 8.39 feet from each building, but the ordinance requires 25 feet between each building. And so the applicant is requesting a variance from the setback ordinance on that. And then, of course, the other one is the shed. It's supposed to be behind this line that way. And so they're just they're wishing for the planning commission to grant a variance on that as well. Next slide, please. And I just put this in here just so y'all can have a place to reference exactly where it states all these setbacks. I guess when it got put into the OneNote, it shifted up, but the highlight is supposed to be over the R9 and the 25 for the rear yard setback. Next slide, please. And so this is just a copy and paste from our ordinance, so if y'all want to reference that, I won't read it. If y'all want to reference that, that's where it says it has to come here and be reviewed. And then so if y'all would like to, these are specific questions that the applicant should be able to answer as far as what effects granting this variance is going to have on the surrounding area. And so just to go through it real quick, the things that y'all really have to consider in this case is that you have to make sure that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, the structure, or building involved, and which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. And that literal interpretation of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance. And that special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant, and that granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other land structures or buildings in the same district. So that basically means that granting these variances is not going to show any special favoritism or preference to this applicant over any other applicants or any other businesses or any other lots in town. Next slide. And these are just the requirements of the process in general, so you can skip that. And then so for the planning staff, just reviewing what the requirements are for the variance itself, what we see this as is generally just fixing up kind of a mess that we inherited. And so the planning staff agrees that it would make sense to grant these variances just because the applicant themselves did not cause this, and the applicant wants to be able to bring his property closer to conformity than what it is right now. So to us, denying it would just leave the mess as it is now, but granting it would clean up the messes there and bring it more like all the other houses in the neighborhood. Next slide. And then this is the possible motion. And so if y'all want to go back up and look at the actual property and how it's laid out, it would make sense to approve this only on the condition that the applicant makes sure that the sewer lines and water lines are put in correctly and separately and in a way that would not cause any negative effects on the property itself or the city. So it would be a good idea to put that as a condition to the applicant. And that's the presentation.
Thank you, Andrew. So, do we have any questions to staff? Yes, Commissioner.
Is there an ordinance concerning the fence? Because the fence goes from the front corner of the house toward the road now instead of the back. So
Yes.
so would that be another variant that we would have to approve?
Yes, that would have to be. You can do that on this one. I guess, yeah, to prevent this from coming up again in another case, you could put this one on there and go ahead and grant that variance as well.
So, can we go back to the picture where the two houses are on the screen? I have a couple questions on that. So, first thing, is that one offshoot connected to the other house?
Oh, so right here?
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
actually,
A walkway, isn't it?
yes, it's actually a covering for a sidewalk. At some point, they just paved a little path between two houses so they're not walking in the mud back and forth. And then later they went and just put a rain covering basically. However, they blended in really well to this house, and it's just somewhat just hanging off over here, but it's just a rain covering. And so if I would agree that it would make sense to have that removed. It's not going to be any serious structural change, in my opinion. I would think it would make sense to get them completely disconnected.
And then my other question is that both of those structures from what I'm looking at were built in 1971, so that was originally built like that.
Yeah, well, so I know that this one was built first, and we tried digging in our records. We found nothing that shows an official date for when either one was built.
Well, that's why I'm just looking at the tax records from the county showing both of those were built the same year.
So when I looked at,
Coming off, with the driveway coming off of 301,
Mhm.
I think that originally was a garage. And
that's
they added a house on top of it.
That's what I believe, because when I looked at some aerial images, this was, I know the tax record says that, and like I'm sure it's very accurate, but when it came to building it, this was definitely built as a house first, and then looking at the aerial view, this is like a white pad, and it seemed a lot smaller, so I think it at some point did grow into a house somehow.
I can remember when they added the upper part of the from the garage.
And we might be able to ask the applicant later if he knows any of the history on that.
Is he here tonight?
Yes.
How is that going to affect the fire codes?
Well, technically, we haven't found any issues with any fire codes. This mainly just violates a whole lot of setback and zoning requirements and public utilities setups, and
I know
it's mainly all the other
he
things.
bought that house not very long ago.
2020 from when I look at it, was that right? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have the applicants here, if you'd like to state your name.
Brandon Hammerlin.
Okay, if you'd like, do y'all have any questions for the applicant while he's here?
I don't know what year it was built, I don't know that. I actually bought it from, the children of the lady that passed away. So I don't know a lot about it, I dealt with realtors, but not sure. Right
You
now,
bought it in 2020?
I let my baby sister live in the main house that y'all call the main house. I fixed up the rear house and I live in it. So it's, my whole family lives there, pretty much.
So it's a family
Yes, ma'am.
thing.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is I understand while family lives there, it works really well, but I've been doing real estate for 20 years, and I know that once you split it, and somebody gets foreclosed on, which I do a lot of foreclosures, it makes it very difficult to sell, because now you're looking in someone's backyard, and you can tell the ones that have those issues in all across this county, where you've had family lands have special provisions, where they're either too close across the land. The other thing I have a question about on that would be, or just something to think about, is that the lot next door to it is the same size as that lot, and not that they have a house in the back, but it's just crazy that we're splitting these things down smaller from something that's been built like that for according to tax records since 1971. Now, that doesn't make it right, but I'm a little cautious on the fact that we start splitting this stuff up. It creates some issues when it goes back to resale or foreclosure or some other issue that we can't foresee in the future.
How close is that garage of house to those power lines that run down through there?
Probably, if you look right there where the red is, that's about where on the left by 301, that's about where the power lines are. And my truck, that white Ford F-150, that's a truck, so that's about how far it is.
Cause I know my kids live back
Yes, ma'am.
and that power line runs right down beside their place
Does it?
and they won't let you do anything. That's why I was wondering about where the power line front, was.
I wouldn't be changing anything other than removing that, walkway. If everything was to get approved, I would, take that walkway down and get the sewer, water and all that fixed to where they're independent. And, my baby sister, like I was saying, lives in the first house. She don't make a lot of money, so long story short, I'm gifting her the house. So, that's why I fixed up the other house for me. So that'll take care of my baby sister, so, but that's the goal. And right now, both of our mail is having to go to the same house, and for tax purposes, all that, I have to file a claim of head of household on my taxes. She can't do anything like that, she's got a kid, so, and it's all considered one house that presents a problem. That's why I'm trying to do this.
So where are you gonna go with your sewer line, out to 301,
Yes, sir.
and you have
No,
approval for that?
Well-
I think it'd be going to Carolina Drive.
Yeah, so,
So it's gotta go across her property.
But it's gonna be
Are there
going
an
up
easement
here,
Yeah.
is that gonna close the
and
problem?
so, when we
I
do the
know at one
plat,
time that house had a lot of sewer problems.
It did before I moved in. I'm not exactly sure what they ran into, but, I'm not exactly sure that I was gonna get plumbers out there to give me an estimate on what it would cost to get everything fixed, so.
and if this were to get approved, it would be, the easement would be put on the plat to show
Okay.
it going on closer to this property
And the
line.
water would go out the same route,
I believe so, yeah.
and do you have gas,
Yes, sir.
natural gas?
Mr. Box is here.
I can elaborate a little bit on the city utility sides of it. Out front, there was some issues with this house a good years ago back. It had a sewer backflow flood in it on the front house there. I'm not sure if anything happened in the back house. we were, then, instructed that by, Penny Shields back when he was Public Works Director. We put a whole manhole and a backflow, water valve in this manhole to prevent any kind of backup ever from city lines into that property. So all that sewer from that property ties into that, backflow manhole that's in the front of that property there. So if we do split it, and he will have to run a new sewer line, down the property line of, to the east there. He will have to tie that thing back into where the other house ties into, out there at the backflow valve, so
Go get
that.
a new tap.
The tap is already there, where the backflow valve and all that was put in. He will have to bring his in and tie in, to where the other one is also tied into that, so that the prevention of any kind of, if we have a repeat incident ever of like what happened, years ago, wouldn't happen to him as well. The one, right now they're both protected because they're all on the same sewer line. So if he breaks off of that and comes in, he's gonna have to tie back into that same, tap out there that prevents any kind of sewer from backing up into their home.
Is there anybody else already on that line that's south of him?
There's nobody else, that is the dead end spot, of that, sewer facility. And, there's no city utilities at all on what would be the property, if it was split in half, there would be no city utilities anywhere. There's no water lines on that, on there. Everything is, all water and sewer ends and starts right out there on Caroline Drive.
Okay, so it's gonna be his expense to get water,
Sewer
sewage,
to
natural gas, everything
Yes.
to and from that place. And you're good with that?
So, and the distance between the two houses is currently sets at what, 16 feet? Is that what I'm-
Yes, just a little over 16 and a half.
All right, do we have any other discussion, any other questions for the applicant? Since this is a variance, is this a public hearing, right?
Yes,
All
it
right,
is.
so I'm gonna open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? All right, no one's going to speak, so we're gonna close public hearing. All right, do we have any other discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. What about the shed?
So you can put both of them, in the same motion, if you would like.
The water, sewage and gas is responsibility, and the shed?
And you can add that as a condition.
So what to do with the shed as a condition?
It's in the front,
The
right.
fence.
Yeah, because of the unique nature of the property.
So you can put the condition that the applicant will, cover the expense and add in the extra water and sewer line.
Yeah, that much you can do, the fence is the issue. Shed. We have to remember that the shed, they were in the county, right?
Yes,
And they were annexed into the city.
yes.
Well, my opinion, just give the variance, it's already there and let it remain there. Because of where they are, they're not, it's a lot of time we get annexed in and the city don't cover no expense to do anything. And people usually do it for themselves, so I just think, let him keep the shed where it's at based on the nature.
All right, so you gonna make a motion?
Case number 2023-28, am I reading this wrong? I think I'm on it. After review of case number 2023-20 DAR, the planning commission approved the request for a rear yard setback variance for a proposed lot division from the required 25 feet down to 8.39 feet, thus a 16.61 foot variance request, and to a variance to allow an accessory structure within portions of a front and side yard, also because of the desired lot division, both by Brandon Amberlin, landowner and application, subject to the following condition, that the owner is responsible for sewage, water, and gas line.
All right, we have a
I'll
motion.
second.
We have a second. All right.
Are you gonna include the variance approval for the shed and fence?
Well, I'm thinking
She
based
she
on
read
how it
the,
is,
she
it's
did
the
it.
shed one,
Oh,
It's already kinda in there.
but.
Yeah, it's number 2, and I didn't see that
Yeah,
either.
it's there.
The
okay.
accessory
structure.
structure.
Yeah, it's already there. So it just remains.
That's just the official name for the shed in the zoning ordinance is accessory
And
structure.
that also includes the fence?
That would not include the fence, but you can add it if you would like. We just did not include it because the fence is so much more of a, just a, kind of more of a smaller issue that can just be tore down or added. But we wanted to make this case just all about the shed as well because it's on a giant slab. It's actually a really large shed.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of more of a significant
Okay.
thing than a fence.
All right, so we have we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, Commissioner Mercer,
Yes.
Commissioner Vidal,
Yes.
Commissioner Stokes,
Yes.
Commissioner McGann, yes. Commissioner Kirkley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Egner.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Good job.
You've done a lot of work on that place.
Yes, ma'am. A whole lot.
It looks good. I live on Choctaw and I come out that way all the
I
time.
need,
Yeah,
I need to do more work.
well, it looks really good.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll look even better in the next year or two.
All right, moving on to case number 2023-31. It's a request to amend the text of Article 5. It has to do with medical cannabis, 2F of the city ordinance, zoning ordinance to change the hours of operation for medical cannabis dispensaries from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. from that to
Thank you.
7 a.m. to 10 p.m. All right, we'll turn this over to our trustee staff up there, Mr. Andrew.
All right, and I tried to just make this one really straightforward. All that is being proposed is just to switch what's in the highlighted area. So right here, this is what's currently in our ordinance right now. Operational hours for dispensaries shall be from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Dispensaries shall be closed on Sunday and legal holidays recognized by the state of Mississippi. So all they're going to do is they're wanting to change this 10 a.m. to 7 a.m. And so basically, operating for 12 hours, 10 to 10 right now, it's going to be in operation for 13 hours, 7 to 10. However, businesses can be open anytime during that time frame. They don't have to be open that full 13 hours. And so maybe just a little background. Technically, I don't know, it might help, but it's not required for you to know, but one of the applicants was actually requesting to be open earlier in the day because they wanted their dispensary to be open only during like sunlight hours. Because if they were to be forced to open 10 to 10, it would put like half of their day selling the medical cannabis in the dark. And they just weren't comfortable with it. And so they wanted to open up at 7 a.m. and then they wanted to close at 7 p.m. So they're going to get the original 12 hours in and just do 7 to 7.
I think 7 to 7 makes more sense
Makes
than
more sense to me than 7 to
extending
10.
another.
So just, before you go on with your presentation, so to be clear, this proposed text change is from an applicant or a business or a business out, it didn't come from this body or it didn't come from the alderman, it came from outside, one of the citizens, or what have you?
So the way this originated was an applicant showed up during a citizens' remarks session to the Board of Aldermen meeting, and they proposed this to the board during the citizens' remarks as the business owner, and the board listened and actually agreed that they liked the idea that the business would be open from 7 to 7, but the board also agreed that instead of changing both numbers, they just changed the one number in case other businesses want to be open from 10 to 10 or whatever hours they choose. So by extending that window by 3 hours, it gives businesses more of a choice if they want to be closer to the morning or closer to the night,
Where they could be open all 13
or all that. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I just wanna make sure we was all clear on where this stemmed from. Okay, keep going.
And basically, that, can you go to the next slide? And I just explained the reason, so that's basically the whole case right there.
All right, so do we have any questions for staff? All right, do we have any discussion, or do we have a motion? All right, you're making a motion, Commissioner Stokes?
After review of case number 2023-31, section 1A1AI, the planning commission recommended approval of amended text in article 5, general provisions supplemental zoning district regulation, T, medical cannabis, 2F of the city zoning ordinance to change the hours of operation for medical cannabis dispensaries from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. To 7 a.m. To 10 p.m.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kirkley,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercer,
Yeah.
Commissioner
Very
Bedell,
apprehensive.
Yes.
Commissioner McGann,
Yes.
Commissioner Stokes,
Yes.
Commissioner Egner.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right. So do we have any, does anybody have any other business to bring up? Okay. So, I just wanna thank everyone for being here, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and y'all have a good New Year, and we will see y'all in January in 2024. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second. All right, we have many seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.
You gotta get an official second, though.
Merry Christmas, dear.